Yeah.
You want to like him, but you can't.
Are you listening?
What?
Are you listening?
Did you bring me on this show to insult me?
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
Hey, y'all don't want it with us, man. You straight gangsters over here.
Straight
man.
gangsters. Yeah, good morning and welcome back. You are listening to Scout Team Radio. We bring it to you hot and live like we do each and every AM. That's right, 6 a.m. on 12-ounce sports radio. I am one of your gracious hosts. They call me Loudbeard.
You are the most egotistical, self-deluded person I have ever met.
Who, me? And the man on the other mic. Some people know him as Maurice. Others just know him as...
Yeah, it's your boy Chris America coming to you live this Friday. It is Friday, Loudbeard, and we are going to get our party on.
I always love a good Friday, Chris America. On Fridays, it's so exciting because the work week is almost over, and even if you've got to work on a Saturday, it doesn't matter because the weekend is here, and weekends are meant for partying, Chris America. They are meant to have a good time.
Yes, and hopefully everybody had a good time with their loved ones last night. Hopefully they had a good time. All right.
Ooh, giggity. Look at you, Chris America. You're already bringing it hot with your takes this morning. Worried about all of our listeners out there having a little bit of that love hangover. But that's okay. Valentine's Day doesn't have to be just one day a week. You could be a lover 365 like you and I, right, Chris
Yes,
America?
sir. 24/7, 365. Sometimes
That's right.
366.
Ooh.
Every 4 years. I like to bring it.
throw in that leap year.
366 days.
You're a leap year guy, huh? You're definitely
I'm
a
a
leap year
big
guy.
leap year guy.
Yeah, I didn't really take you for a big leap year guy, but now that I'm processing it, it makes sense. You would like the leap year.
The only time I don't like the leap year is like when my birthday is about to fall on a Friday, and then the leap year disrupts that and sends it to like Sunday or something.
Ooh, yeah. I don't know why Sunday's such a bad day for the birthday, but it really
it's
is.
such a really well. Actually, Monday's the worst. No,
Good point.
I actually
Good
take
point.
Tuesday because you're kind of in that middle ground. You're like, all right, which weekend do I celebrate it on?
So can we just say any day except maybe Thursday, Friday, Saturday? Those are the peak days. Every other day,
Because at least Sunday you can still go out Saturday night, celebrate it up, and then nurse your hangover on your birthday.
Yep, that's a very, very solid point there, Chris America.
Soak up all that alcohol with birthday cake.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, let's get this birthday party started here on this Friday, this beautiful Friday day, morning, whatever you want to call it. So, looking at some of the top stories going around the world in sports, I do got to bring this one up because I feel like we're doing a service to our listeners anytime we can bring up Tim Tebow. And I have a story for you, Chris America. It comes out that the American Alliance Football League, we'll call it just the Alliance, they reached out to Timmy Tebow, Tim Terrific, Tim Football Touchdown Tebow, and asked Tim Tebow to join their league. Unfortunately, Tim Tebow is an all-star caliber minor league baseball player, so we don't want Tim Tebow to go to the Alliance, right? So Tim just casually declined.
Well, hold on. If he came to Orlando, I would be all on board. Tim Tebow,
yeah.
Steve Spurrier, are you kidding me?
Well, I'm sure Steve Spurrier probably gave him a call. I don't know. Well, I'll have to look into that. But Tim Tebow, he casually declined. Now, there is another big quarterback name, and this is the one that's drawing all the headlines, and that was Colin Kaepernick. So the Alliance reaches out to Colin Kaepernick. Charlie Ebersol, who is the CEO, he actually reaches out to Cap, and it's being reported by Barry Whitner of the Associated Press that Kaepernick said he would need at least $20 million to suit up and play for the Alliance. How do you feel about those demands, Chris America?
You know, AAF, if that's too expensive for you, I'll do it for $15 million. right here, you can have Chris America and his arm.
Okay. Do you think you're worth all that $15 million?
What is worth, Loudbeard? You know, I always say that. What is worth? Is it worth $3 for a Snickers? Depends on how hungry you are.
That's true. That's true. Like if you're in the desert and you haven't had water in 3 or 4 days, you would pay $1 million for a bottle of water at that point because
you would?
value is all about what the worth is to you at that moment. Is that correct, Chris America?
You're picking up my philosophy that I'm putting down.
All right. So, do you think Kaepernick would have been worth $20 million? Now, this is a startup league. I'm pretty sure they're not paying anybody even close to $20 million range. I'm pretty sure that nobody's even getting paid in that like $5 million range. I mean, we're talking about
No. I looked it up. It's actually everybody gets a 3-year contract. I can't remember what it was exactly, but just multiply 83 times 3 because I was looking this up on my way to the game just to see, just out of my curiosity, and I broke it down. They do get 3-year contracts, and then I divided it up, and it ended up being $83,000 a year, and $83,000 a year is good money for us. But if you're a guy like Colin Kaepernick, who once made, I think he signed like a $92 million contract at one point, and I'm not really sure. I think he ended up leaving the league only making $40 million. Going and getting out of
it, only $40 million. Wow.
Well,
That's
out of 92, you know.
That's how all those contracts are in the NFL. Those
Right.
Scammers.
But if you have $40 million sitting in the bank, Loudbeard, are you going to get out of bed for $83,000 a day? Or $83,000 a year, I mean?
But he's saying he would not go for $20 million. He'd have to go for $20 million a year.
Right.
Maybe he's saying $20 million over 3 years. My point to you, Chris America, is that this demand is so lofty. He's just saying, like, I just don't want to go play for you. Again, I don't want to go down the political spectrum with Kaepernick. I'm just saying on the football side, if he really wanted to get back to the NFL and he wanted to showcase his talents, he could go out there, light it up with the Alliance, and then some of these teams may soften up on their stance and may welcome him back because talent trumps everything else. We talked about it the other day. When you have murderers and abusers and all of these types of players in the NFL, when they are an extreme talent, a lot of things get overlooked. And when Kaepernick's talent started to decline, some of the other noise was not able to be overlooked by these owners. And now this would be an opportunity for him to get back on the field. But he's got a lot of other stuff going on. He's able to get himself in with endorsements. But I think this was kind of a slap in the face at the Alliance. And I think Cap should think about it, man. Just get back on the field. Play. There's other options. There's a CFL. There's other ways to get on the field. If you really wanted to be on the field, get out there somewhere and just show what you can do and prove that you're worth being on an NFL roster again.
Well, let's take Kaepernick out of it. I think this is going to be the hardest problem for the AAF to get true big names that we all know. Because I thought I had this conversation. I can't remember who it was with, but Blake Bortles. I think he would be great. Like if he came to Orlando and played for the Alliance of American Football, that would be huge. But there's really no incentive other than what you're talking about, showcasing your talent again on the field when nobody else will give you that shot. But when you've already made $20, $30, $40 million in your bank account, $83,000 to go put your body and work hard. I know that sounds bad, but we don't have $40 million sitting in our bank account. Like, I remember when I was in college age, getting right out of the military, looking for a job, I would have done anything for like $100. If you would have said, Chris, hey, you want to come help me move for like $100? I'm all about it. Let's go. Now that I have a real job and I'm making real money, if you ask me to help you move for $100 and I don't know you that well, I got other stuff going on.
Yeah, but you're putting this all on the money. I think that's part of the problem. Is it shouldn't be about the money, because if somebody's hungry enough, like a guy like Trent Richardson, he has made probably a good amount of money in the NFL, but he doesn't think he is done.
I don't think he's made as much as like Bortles or
no, nobody
Colin
makes
Kaepernick.
quarterback money. but this is I'm trying to think of it in a relative terms. A lot of money to me, if you have $3, $4, $5 million in your bank account, if you're smart with your money, you're able to make that last a lifetime. And the problem is a lot of these guys aren't smart with their money, but that's a whole different story. But $3, $4, $5 million, that's a good amount of money. But Trent Richardson, now whether it's, I want to get that big payday and get back to the NFL, or, hey, I just want to show that I'm good enough to be in the NFL and I want another team to give me another shot. I think the money part is secondary to, I want to be an NFL player. I want to be out there. I want to show the world that I'm better than what is being thought of me right now. And some of these guys and I'm going to use Trent Richardson because I think he's the biggest name the Alliance has that a lot of people know about. Someone like that, he kind of washed up in the NFL, and he's saying, you know what, I'm not washed up. I want to go out there and show you that I'm not washed up. And like I said, he's probably made enough money in the NFL. No, it's not $90 million. No, it's not $150 million. But, in real-world terms, $3, $4, $5 million is a lot of money. And, yeah, maybe he wants more. But I think some guys are driven by more than just what money is. I think they're driven by the love for the game, and they're driven by the need to succeed, right? They want to show that they're not a failure. They want to show that they can be a success and get back to that high level. And that's where the Alliance is doing it right. And that's where it's great for teams to be able to bring in some of these bigger name guys that want to get back into playing football.
Well, Loudbeard, I Googled how much did Trent Richardson make in the NFL, and one of the first stories that pops up with the headline, NFL player Trent Richardson's family blew $1.6 million of his money in less than a year. So that could be why he's in the Alliance.
Okay. Well, that's that other story about how athletes are terrible with money. Yeah.
Man,
and that's sad, too. The family
it
just
is.
blows
well,
it.
Part of it is probably I would say I could easily see my family. Not that my family's greedy or anything, but I could see me blowing $1.6 million in a year if I made 13.3 like he did. Because money doesn't change you to the sense that you become a bad person, but it does change your spending habits. Like right now, if I were to say let's go to Ruth's Chris, you'd have to check your bank account. You'd have to kind of see when your next paycheck's coming. But if you have $13 million and I'm like, hey, you want to go to Ruth's Chris? And I ask you that every single night, you'd be like, yeah, not only are we going to Ruth's Chris, but we're getting shots, we're buying champagne, we're gonna go Ruth's Chris hard, and you're gonna end up spending like $2,000, but you had a good time, you had a good night, and you do that multiple times in 1 year, and it ends up being $1.6 million. I can see how it gets away from you.
Yeah. Okay. I see what you're saying there. Now, Trent Richardson, maybe he's motivated by money. Maybe a lot of these guys are motivated by money. But the point is this is a great way to showcase yourself.
No, it is. And I don't know. Maybe Colin Kaepernick who knows what Colin Kaepernick's deal is and whether or not he's legitimately wanting to be back in the NFL or if this is just to help him, this lawsuit's to help him further along his cause, right? It's kept him in the news long. If he would have just faded away and never spoke of it, didn't sue the league, all that other stuff, the whole kneeling thing goes away. The whole storyline goes away. But he's done a good job of keeping himself in the limelight from time to time. It feels like once every 3 to 4 months, Colin Kaepernick pops up in a story.
Oh, he definitely does. He's still a hot topic, right? It's not going away. He's still going to be one of those guys that's polarizing and will make the headlines no matter what the story is, right? No matter what it is, he'll be there. But I'm tired of talking about Colin Kaepernick. We need to move on, Chris America. We need to move on to some other stories going on in the world because
Loudbeard, let's have a little quick discussion about this, right? I mentioned Blake Bortles. Who else do you think needs the AAF? If they don't care about money, who else do you think needs that extra spark in their career that, hey, man, go showcase it again?
I'm sure there's dozens of guys. I'm trying to think of what like a big name would be, a guy that needs to go out there. I would say a guy like Josh Gordon, just getting back out on the field.
Oh,
that would be for other reasons. Somebody like that.
Josh Gordon's a great name. Everybody's fan favorite. He's over in the CFL now. I don't know what his contract is, but your boy from Texas A&M.
Oh, Manziel. Manziel would be a great look at over there.
Especially if he went to San Antonio.
Yeah. Well, think of a guy, and now he's a backup on a team, but if RG3 got cut this upcoming season and he didn't fall on a team, a guy like that would be perfect to go to the Alliance just to keep his name out there, and then when teams needed a backup, boom, they could grab
call him up.
Yep. I think about that, like the Redskins when Alex Smith went down, they had this like carousel of quarterbacks that they brought in, and Mark Sanchez. Now I don't know that Mark Sanchez would go to the Alliance, but if he thinks that he could still get onto an NFL team, which at this point it's probably no chance, he could think about going to the Alliance. A guy like Josh Johnson, who's been a backup quarterback for most of his career, he would maybe go there to get his name out there. So there's a lot of these second and third tier guys that are maybe just trying to get that chance to be on a roster, because what happens every year is these teams draft quarterbacks, right? So you spend a third, fourth, fifth round draft pick on a quarterback. Well, that third string or second string quarterback on your team ends up getting bumped, and that guy needs an opportunity to play somewhere. And so this Alliance is a perfect place for those types of guys.
I agree, and it's also a bad place for these type of guys. You look at Christian Hackenberg, where he's over there with the Memphis Express, and it kind of confirms for the NFL, no, is letting this guy go. So you do run the risk of that happening, Loudbeard, where if you go to the Alliance, you better light it up, man, because if you look average in the Alliance, you're probably never going to get a chance ever again. And maybe that's also Tim Tebow's fear and Colin Kaepernick's fear, why they need a little bit more money to go, because you're going to pay me $83,000 to embarrass myself?
Right? Okay. I see your point there, but I still think if you believe in yourself, you got to put it out on the field. And a guy like Christian Hackenberg, the fact that he went out and stunk it up as bad as he did, to me, that just shows that this guy, you're right, he will never be that NFL talent that we maybe at one point thought he could be. He's just not that good. But, I mean, if you believe in yourself, you got to go out there and give it a shot, because if he would have gone out there and thrown 7 touchdowns, no interceptions, had 450 yards, you know what the buzz would have been this week? And everybody would have been like, wow,
huge.
did you see Hackenberg? Oh, my gosh. Oh, who's going to pick him up? GMs would be out there watching these games just to see him if he did that. This is your chance. It's almost like a tryout each and every week.
I didn't even know who Garrett Gilbert was when they're like, the starting quarterback for the Orlando Apollos is Garrett Gilbert. I'm like, who is this guy? Now everybody's talking about him like he's the next best thing to sliced bread because he had such a good game, and I've never even heard of the guy. I don't even remember him playing for SMU. And I don't even know. I think he was on the Panthers at one point. Never knew it.
Yeah, he was the backup that was signed like on a week-to-week deal, week 17 for the Panthers. It's not like he was the starter or it was there for a long time. I think he was only there for like a week, but He was on the Carolina Panthers. He got called up. And so now the Panthers looked at him. They called him up for that one little stint. Well, now he's going to showcase himself in the Alliance. Well, other teams are going to know this guy's got playing experience, he's got starting experience, and he's got some talent. When quarterbacks start going down with injuries, who's the first guy they're going to look at? Is it a guy like, and I mean, Kaepernick's a bad example, but a guy that's been sitting on the sideline not playing, or a guy that's out there getting some real game experience? Who would you rather have coming into training camp ready to go for your football team?
What about the Sanchez? You think he can succeed in this league?
The Sanchez can't succeed anywhere. He's done, man. I gave him too many shots.
Is he the veteran Hackenberg?
Oh, boy. Yeah, no, Sanchez is done. He just needs to call it a career, man. He's done.
Man, how bad are scouts that they got Hackenberg so wrong? What was it, 3 years ago? Let me see when this kid got drafted. I want to say it was 3 seasons ago. He was a second-round pick, and now he can't even hack it in the 2016 draft. So 3 drafts ago, he's drafted very early in the second round, like mid to early second round, and the dude can't cut it in the AAF 3 years later. How do they get it that wrong, Loudbeard?
I don't know, but they got that way wrong. Just out of I don't know. But this is what happens. There's always guys that get washed up pretty quickly. This is why, and maybe more on the NBA side, but on the NFL side, it's hard to really put a lot of emphasis onto these top draft picks. You got the guys like a Baker Mayfield, which he went number 1. Everybody loved him. There's still question marks, right? That we still weren't like, okay, it's a guarantee. But he went out and
there's
proved
still people
it.
who are anti-Baker Mayfield that
Right.
still hold on to those prototypical quarterbacks, and they don't like his attitude, and no, this is just a fluke season.
Right, and it becomes a gamble. So a guy like Christian Hackenberg, I'm sure that there was 30, I'd say probably 28 teams that are like, that guy's probably a 6th or 7th round. We would maybe take a flyer on him. But then you got those 1 or 2 teams that are like, I see something. I could be uncovering the next Tom Brady. We could get him. This could be a great deal. Let's get him and store him and try to develop him, because we're so talented as coaches and we're so talented as identifying this talent that we're able to develop a player that really just doesn't have the talent. But these egos in the coaching staff and the egos in the front office think sometimes that just a little glimmer of talent, that they can take that potential and make it into something bigger. And what you get is a guy like Christian Hackenberg that should have never even been there.
Yeah, and I mean, he's your prototypical guy, 6'4", 223 pounds, from a quote-unquote pro-style offense in college. So, look, man, this is what happens when you go cookie cutter instead of going for the Baker Mayfields of the world or the Patrick Mahomes.
That's so true, my friend. All right, Chris America, I'm going to move on from that. But since we're talking NFL and we're talking quarterbacks, I thought this was a little interesting tidbit story that came out. There seems to be mutual interest from Nick Foles and the Jacksonville Jaguars. This hurts my feelings, Chris America, because he was my most eligible bachelor yesterday on our Valentine's Day special.
And now
I picked him, and now he's got interest in another team. Man,
I've seen this on The Bachelor before, where they get engaged and everything, and then next thing you know, by the time the show airs, they're broken up. This is what happens when you find love on game shows.
It is. It isn't meant to be long term, I guess. I was in love with Foles for a day, and now he's already courting other. I just can't even talk about it. I'm moving on, Chris America.
Well,
another
Vladimir,
NFL.
can you find it in your strength to talk about it just a little bit? Do you think the Jaguars improve and get back to that AFC Championship run type team with Nick Foles as their quarterback?
I'm gonna say yes, but I'm gonna put a little asterisk next to it, because they have to upgrade in a couple other areas to get stronger.
Yeah.
Yes, they have an amazing defense, and I think that's going to be good moving forward. You're going to still have a good defense. I don't think they're going to lose too much talent there on the defensive side of the ball. It's on the offensive side of the ball. What weapons are you going to surround Nick Foles with? Yes, you've got Leonard Fournette. Can he stay healthy? What Carlos Hyde now is that backup. You've got T.J. Yeldon. I mean, it's a stable of running backs, but I don't know if we're super excited about any of those running backs.
It's an average
you know what I
stable
mean?
of running backs.
It is. It's an
average. It can be elite if Leonard Fournette is playing to his potential. It's an elite stable because you got him wearing down the defense, and then that allows Yeldon and Hyde to look really, really good. When the defense is worn out by Fournette, they can kind of come in for a spell with fresh legs and just demolish the defense. But when Fournette is hurt, oof. It is an ugly, ugly running game.
It is. And maybe the offensive line needs some upgrades. Again, those things can be addressed in the offseason. But to me, the other big glaring spot is where are the weapons on the wide receiver, at tight end? Like, they need a big-time wide receiver, or at least some guys that can help contribute. And honestly, unless they address that elephant in the room, the quarterback's not going to be successful. I mean, Blake Bortles was throwing to a bunch of Jags, right? Like, just another guy. Not Jaguars, just another guys. He was not throwing to anybody.
Not naval lawyers, not naval attorneys.
No, he was not.
Good show, man. Jags. Hey, Loudbeard, but you bring up a good point, though. I felt like the Jaguars pulled the rug out from underneath Bortles. Not saying that Bortles is a top 10 quarterback, but he's a decent quarterback, and I felt like last year they set him up to fail. I don't know if it was on purpose, but, I mean, they sent away those two wide receivers. One went to Houston, the other went to Chicago, And then they left him with a bunch of nobodies at wide receiver. And then you had injuries to Fournette. You had injuries to the other Jags at wide receiver. And, man, there was no way Blake Bortles was going to be able to succeed on that team last year.
He'll get another shot somewhere, though. I mean, he may have
No,
to do
yeah,
his time
he'll-
as a backup,
Yeah.
but there's going to
Or
be
one of those
a
guys
point
that's like,
where
Blake
he
Bortles,
reemerges.
you're gonna warm up the seat for. I mean, maybe your Redskins sign Bortles, draft out Will Greer, and they'll have Bortles start off at first to kind of warm up the seat, and then put Will Greer in when he's ready to go.
That's a very possible scenario.
Maybe I should have thrown that bachelor in there. Now that you've been spurned by Nick Foles, maybe I should put Blake Bortles in as bachelor number 1.
Yeah, I do like me some Blake Bortles.
Bortlemania.
That would have been a tough decision, Chris America. If Blake Bortles was a starting quarterback for the Redskins, I would be first in line getting that new jersey. I'd be getting that jersey. That's
like the whole state.
Yep, Jersey, New
Jersey.
Jersey.
Okay. You
All right.
know, it comes with a lot of problems though. A lot of mafia members in there.
Yeah. You know what, Chris America? We got a commercial break coming up here in about 5 minutes. And on the flip side of the commercial, we're going to have a really great draft ahead of us. Every Friday we do our fantasy draft. So make sure everybody continues to listen. Stay tuned for that because that's going to be on fire. But in these last 5 minutes, I feel like I've got 1,000 things to go over. There's so much going on in the world. There's an all-star weekend coming up for the NBA. We've got NFL owners trying to poach Adam Silver to the NFL. Like, what is up with that? We've got more baseball trade talk, which I'm kind of getting tired of talking about. And there was some great action last night on the court. So, Chris America, I'm going to try to go through as much as I can, but I have a couple questions for you. Adam Silver in the NBA has been doing a phenomenal job. He's taken revenues from where it was 5 years ago at about $4.8 billion, so pocket change. And now we're looking at an estimated $9.1 billion. So the guy's growing the NBA in a phenomenal way. He's legalized. He's been supportive of legalized betting. He's supported esports. He's embraced advertisements on jerseys. He's just doing everything to make these owners richer and make the game better. And he was also known for getting rid of that Clippers owner that was known for making racist comments. And as soon as that came out, boom, he got rid of him and he made a decisive decision and did it right away, and people applauded him for that. So Adam Silver is on this pedestal. Roger Goodell is not. People kind of are a little lukewarm on Goodell. If Adam Silver said today, I am leaving the NBA and I'm going to be the new commissioner in the NFL, would you think that that was a good move for the NFL owners and all of the NFL?
I don't know. Maybe. I don't know if the owners would like it because I think one of the things that the owners like about Goodell is he does his job. And his only job is to represent the owners and be in the owner's best interest. One of the reasons why people hate Roger Goodell is because he's always on the side of the owners. And he goes on these power trips. And unfortunately, they're not well thought out power trips. They are very inconsistent power trips. They are all over the place. He doesn't know how to handle it. I think that's one of the reasons why people don't like him is because we're Americans, Loudbeard. And in America, we don't like all power going to one person. We don't like the judge and jury being on one person. We like committees. We like Congress. We like jury pools of 12 men and women of our peers. That's what we like to see. We don't like to see these power-hungry kings and queens and dictators ruling. And I think if Adam Silver went into the NFL and he'd have to use his power a lot more wisely than what Roger Goodell uses it, and I don't know if owners would like that.
Oh, Chris America, I couldn't disagree with you more. I think if Adam
Yes.
Silver went to the NFL would reign supreme forever. This guy is so forward-thinking. Yes, he is a player's guy, and players appreciate that. There wouldn't be all this contention between the Players Association and the owners. And the owners, you know why the NBA owners don't really care about Adam Silver being a player's guy? Because he puts money in their pockets, Chris America. He has grown this sport leaps and bounds, and the NFL owners would get more money. Whether it's doing jersey advertisements, whether it's when these stupid rules come out and coming up with a decision to help change a stupid rule. Adam Silver is not afraid to dive deep. He questions the referees. He makes sure that there's accountability on all of the officiating with the NBA. He does so many things that the NFL needs. Roger Goodell is stuck in this year 20 years ago where he thinks that it's okay to just be this tyrant, but he's terrible right now. I think he needs to go, and Adam Silver would fix a lot of the problems in the NFL, and the owners would get richer, and the players would be happy, and the game would be better. He would worry about the fan experience. He would worry about things that right now Goodell doesn't seem to care about. And Chris America, the NFL would be great again if Adam Silver was the commissioner. I saw that news story. At first, I was like, weird, NBA commissioner going to... It doesn't matter what sport it is. He is a smart dude making the right decisions, and he would do it 10 times better than Goodell does it. And Goodell right now should be worried. Now, Silver has no interest in going there because he loves the NBA. But if he ever went to the NFL, I'm telling you, Chris America, watch out. The world would be taken over by the NFL.
Maybe we can have Adam Silver come run the Scout Team Radio. He can light us on fire.
Yeah, I got the kerosene in the matches. Good luck.
Let's
Chris
do
America. Hopefully, whichever one of us outruns Adam Silver, we win.
All right. I will bring the marshmallows and graham crackers.
All right. Well, we have that draft on the other side. Chris America, can you tell our listeners what that draft is about and lead us into this beautiful commercial break?
Well, Loudbeard, if you are a millennial, maybe ages like 15 to 25, you have no idea how good SportsCenter used to be. We're going to do a SportsCenter draft of SportsCenter anchors, and I have a feeling that none of them are going to be anybody who anchored SportsCenter within the last 5 to 10 years.
When I'm working hard, I build up a thirst for sports. That's when I grab a cold 12-ounce sports radio. Ah, 12-ounce sports radio. Quench your sports thirst.
Scout Team listeners and friends of the show, I've got something special for you. It looks like 12-ounce sports radio has done it again. We have partnered with Rally House. You just go to the website 12ozsportsradio.com. Click on the banner on the right side of the page, and it will take you directly to Rally House. Rally House has some of the greatest, most unique sports items for that diehard fan, casual fan, and anybody and everybody out there that is special in your life. So go ahead and check it out. Once again, go to that website, 12ozsportsradio.com. Click on the banner to the right of the page, and you will get taken to the best sports merchandise website on all of the interweb.
Ring Central features all-in-one phone, messaging, and video conferencing. It's easy to use with unparalleled security. Ring Central simplifies things so you can grow. Call Ring Central to speak with a representative about a price for your growing business at 877-779-3860. Again, that's 877-779-3860.
Hey everybody, it's your favorite Patriot, Chris America, and I want you to listen every single weekday, Monday through Friday, 6 a.m. to 7 a.m., and on replays from 11 a.m. to noon of Scout Team Sports. Listen, George Washington did not cross over the ocean blue in 1492 to defeat the Nazis, so you can listen to the same tired national clickbait sports stories. So once again, tune in to us every single morning, 6 a.m. to 7 a.m., and then we replay from 11 to noon. I will see you there, and God bless America.
All right. right, thank you all for listening in, and welcome back. You're listening to Scout Team Radio. I'm Loudbeard, he's Chris America, and we bring it to you hot and live each and every AM, Monday through Friday, 6 a.m. and again at 11 a.m. on 12-ounce Sports Radio. We also drop the show as a podcast. Make sure you check it out on Apple Podcasts, Spotify Podcasts, or our website, scoutteamradio.com. It also goes over to the Barn Burner Network. We've partnered with them. They help us out and deliver our podcast all over the world, including a lot of our big-time listeners up in Canada. We love you for that. Thank you, Barn Burner Network. Also, if you want to get social with us here at Scout Team Radio, make sure you hit us up on Twitter. We like getting tweets in. We like reading them on the air. We like talking about your topics and your subjects. It gets pretty fun with all of that. Hit us up on Twitter at Scout Team Radio. We're also available on Facebook and Instagram at Scout Team Radio. Make sure you check those out. Oh, well, Chris America, it's that time. You whooped my butt last week.
Before you do that, Loudbeard,
man.
Before you do that, Loudbeard, you mentioned Canada. We got to bring up some hockey scores, man.
All right, do it.
Last night, our Tampa Bay Lightning routed the Dallas Stars 6-0, Loudbeard. They just missed the extra point.
Yeah, you know, sometimes when the kicker shanks it, it really hurts your feelings.
Yeah, but not to be outdone, the Toronto Maple Leafs, they also scored 6 goals. They won 6-3 against the Golden Knights. Sorry, Loudbeard, the team that took away your UCF old name won or lost by a bet. Lost really bad to the Maple Leafs.
It's all right. I've forgiven them for their sins.
And that is Hockey Hour with the Scout Team Sports Radio. Loudbeard, before we also get into the draft, I got a couple of other stories I want to talk about.
Okay.
You mentioned the other day that that LeBron James was missing something. What was that you said he was missing?
The Eye of the Tiger?
Ah, yes, the Eye of the Tiger. Well, it appears that Scottie Pippen was listening to you, and he was on one of the ESPN shows the other day, and he had this to say.
When I look at LeBron, he's not what Michael was as a player. He's not even what Kobe Bryant was as a player. So when you talk about trying to compare Michael's instinct, his ability to take over games, his ability to want to have that last shot.
And demoralize you.
Yes.
And scare the living hell out of you.
Oh, Stephen A., shut up.
Doesn't have that gene.
So, Scotty.
That's not...
Oh, so he's saying he doesn't have the Eye of the Tiger gene, which everybody knows is a real thing.
It absolutely is a real thing, and Scotty got that from us, man. He needs to get a little bit more original with his takes, huh?
Yeah, he should at least credit us when he's on big national
Seriously.
TV to say, at least say, like, I was listening to Scout Team Radio the other day and everything. But, yeah, Loudbeard, he also is a defender of Michael Jordan. And do you think LeBron gets picked on too much by the older players?
Okay, I'm thinking for a second, and I know thinking's not good on radio, so I'm going to talk through my thoughts here. Does he get picked on too much by the old... I'm going to say no. I think they pick on him just enough. It's the right amount. It's not too much. I think they pick on him just enough because there is a little validity to that, and part of that is LeBron's doing. You know, he set himself up. When he was in Cleveland the first time around, he didn't really have a lot of this, dysfunction. But as soon as he did the decision and then went to Miami, they lost to Dallas after putting together the big three. And then going through and, he's just struggled as being that clutch guy. In those moments where he should have owned that moment, he should have, in that Dallas series, Dirk took over. You had guys like Sean Marion who looked like a superstar at that moment, and Tyson Chandler and J.J. Barea. These guys were looking better than LeBron in that series. These guys owned LeBron in that 2011 series. And I look back and I think that was the beginning. Same thing when the Orlando Magic bounced the early Cleveland Cavaliers out of the playoffs, when the Magic went to the finals. That was LeBron's last go at it with Cleveland, and it just was... it didn't look good, right? And it just looked like LeBron did not have that eye of the tiger. So he's had too many losses in big games and in big series to really be put as the guy that with the eye of the tiger. And a guy like Michael Jordan and a guy like Kobe Bryant, they were just such fierce competitors. And LeBron James is the guy that'll sit there and say, hey, if we make the playoffs, we make the playoffs. If we don't, we don't. Like, that's not the eye of the tiger. Get it over it. So, I mean, I love LeBron James. I think he is one of the greatest players, if not the second greatest player of all time. But all of that shade that the older players give him, he probably deserves it. Or I'm not going to say probably. He does deserve it. And it's just what it is, Chris America.
So, Loudbeard, you mentioned the eye of the tiger. You know who's had the eye of the tiger the last week and a half?
The Orlando Magic.
Oh, all right, Loudbeard, that is true. It is correct. The freight train, now known as the Orlando Magic, utterly steamrolled through the Charlotte Hornets last night, Loudbeard. The final score, what was it, like 126 to like 80 something? Let me double check this here, Loudbeard. Let's go Orlando
Just throwing
Magic.
numbers against the wall. Seeing if
127.
Right.
No, 127 to 89 was the final score. See, I was right on the money, man.
I'm telling you right now, Kemba needs to come to Orlando after this offseason. There's no need for him to stay in Charlotte. We could use a nice little upgrade at point guard. But the Orlando Magic right now are on an absolute tear. That's 5 in a row. I think it's 6 out of the last 7 or 7 out of the last 8, something like that. But this team, they're going in hot to the All-Star break, and I'm excited. We're based out of Orlando here, and of course we're going to have a little bit of a sway towards the Orlando Magic. I know they're not a big national draw like some of these other teams, like the Golden State Warriors of the world, but the Orlando Magic, this is a good story. They're getting themselves in prime playoff position. I believe they're 1 game out or right at that 8th seed. They're right hovering around there, and they're making a run for it. I love the fight. I love that they haven't given up because out of the last 6-7 years, the second half of the season, the Orlando Magic look like they have completely give up, and their coach, Steve Clifford, this year is not letting this team give up, and they are now showing the eye of the tiger.
And Loudbeard, this isn't just 5 in a row. This is 5 blowouts in a row of double-digit proportions. This one coming at nearly 30 points. Nearly. 28. Not bad. Last night, or Tuesday night, 118 to 88 against the Pelicans. That was a 30-point blowout. But, man, Loudbeard. No, that's a 20-point blowout. Sorry, math is off on that one. Nope, 30. Yeah, I was right. Loudbeard, let's get on with the draft. I just had to throw in our Magic celebration in there. I forgot to do that earlier on in the show. So, without further ado, we have the Sports Center Anchor Draft, Loudbeard. I went ahead and whooped up on you last week. I had to, Loudbeard. I had to pick myself off the mat, if you will, pun intended, with the wrestling theme we had last week. But now I think we're going to be on equal grounds again. I think this is going to be an interesting draft.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And I felt from the very get-go that you had me beat because you had the first pick. You went Stone Cold. Stone Cold, to me, was by far the number one. And then I made a epic mistake by not realizing The Rock. I didn't have The Rock on my Royal Rumble list. And you wiped me on the floor, on the mat. I can't believe it. So, Chris,
yeah,
America,
I felt like
I
felt like you voted for me, Loudbeard. Yes, it does. It does mean that. You get the number 1 overall pick.
I did because you deserved it. All right, well, let's get this started. To our listeners out there, if this is your first time listening, each and every Friday we do a fantasy draft where we come up with a fun topic and we discuss who we would draft in this one. This week, ESPN Sports Center anchors, and you know what, Chris America, there's a couple here that I could go with. It's not a home run any way I do it, but I have to say that this guy, he was always cooler than the other side of the pillow. That's right. The legend, may he rest in peace, Stuart Scott is going to be my number 1 pick in this draft.
Yeah, I kind of knew that was going to be the case. That would have been my number 1 pick. I think that's going to be the one that wins the vote, hands down, because we know how these people vote. They vote on just one person only, whether it's they really love the person or they really hate the person. And Stuart Scott is by far the most beloved Sports Center anchor of all time. It's almost like we should have removed him, just like we removed Andy Reid, but I'll let you have him.
It's kind of like the Stone Cold pick from you last week. That's why you got me. So
Kinda,
I'm gonna do it. I'm just.
But
doing
I
it.
don't know. See, Andy Reid and Stuart Scott, I feel like, are such clear-cut favorites. Where Stone Cold, yes, clear-cut, but not everybody agrees that Stone Cold is their favorite. Like, they love Stone Cold, but there's a lot of people that love The Rock. There's a lot of people that love the Hulkamaniacs, those kind of things. But I'm gonna go with my number 2 pick. He still has a radio show on. He left ESPN a long time ago to have his own radio show, and that, of course, is the sultry, the velvety voice of Dan Patrick.
Wow, that's a good pick right there. When you said he had currently has a show, I was thinking you were going to go with another guy that you listen to every day.
I do, but
Ooh.
I had to decide between one or the other, and I think Dan Patrick is a lot more liked than the other guy that I'm hoping you don't pick.
Yeah, I wasn't going to pick that guy. Now I almost want to pick him just to block you.
Just to spite me. But you got
not
to
gonna
do
do that.
you, Loudbeard. Remember, you always do you, and that's why you always win.
Yeah, I got to go. This guy, to me, is the legend, the one that is most recognizable. He's going back. Whoop, whoop. Bad Moon Rising. That's right. Boomer, the Swami, Chris Berman, bringing it hot on my number 2 draft pick.
I remember I used to watch that. Does he still do that show on after the games are all over where he does all the scores and what was he, the Swami?
Yeah, I mean, he right now is in a very limited role because he can pretty much do whatever he wants because he's been on ESPN since the 70s.
Lost
But
the Loudbeard.
You lost the Loudbeard?
Yeah, you cut out for a minute, but I got you back now.
All right, well, I'm glad to be back. I'm sorry that happened. This is live radio. Anything can happen on live radio. Anything, Chris America. Be careful.
All right, you got Chris Berman. You left me with my favorite. He's honestly my favorite radio host that I listen to, and that, of course, is Rich Eisen. I love me some Rich Eisen, Loudbeard. And, the Stuart Scott-Rich Eisen duo was the most dynamic in all of SportsCenter history.
Okay, I can see that. You're right. I knew this was your guy. I knew this would be your second pick, so I left him there for you, but I did like my pick better, so that's okay. You can have that dynamic duo, Batman and Robin. You can have them. That's fine. It's cool. So I got to swing back around to my number 3 pick. I could go in many different directions here, Chris America. Oh, man. Let's see. I got a little wild card pick. I might save that for later. Okay, I see that. All right, Chris America, are you ready for it? I think I'm going to have to go SVP, man. Scott Van Pelt, one of my favorite anchors. SVP is going to be my number 3 draft pick in this draft.
He's the only guy I would have thought that we would pick that is like current.
Yep.
Because he's from that older generation of SportsCenter and the way they did things. That was a good one, Loudbeard. That was a good one. I think I'm going to go old school some more. I'm going to go some Craig Kilborn.
Ooh. Wow, look at you. I didn't even have him on my list. You could have saved him for
I could have.
the end. Yeah,
I could have, but I wasn't sure because he's an older favorite, man. He's one of the OGs of the 90s.
All right. Okay. I see you left me some leeway here. So this was the other guy I was up against Scott Van Pelt with, and that would be Keith Olbermann. Keith Olbermann, classic.
That's a good one.
Going with the Keith Olbermann. Yep, doing it.
That's a good one. Let me see. Was this guy ever? No. That stinks. I was gonna go Kenny Mayne, but I don't see him listed as an anchor. He's a reporter.
Yeah, he's an
I
anchor.
think.
Kenny Mayne would count. Yep.
You're counting
If
Kenny
you want
Mayne?
him. Yeah, no, Kenny Mayne. I had him on my list. He's on there.
All right. I don't know why they're not including him as an anchor on this list, but I'm gonna go Kenny Mayne.
All right. The main event.
The
good
main
choice.
event.
The main event. Well, Chris America, I'm gonna go out there. This one goes out. There's not a lot of.
I hope it's not my wild card.
There's not a lot of women out there that do these
good,
sports that are well known, and so I got to go with the classic Linda Cohn, the New York Mets fan. She's still around. She's been around forever, and man, she warms my heart every time I hear her out there on SportsCenter when she used to do it. I don't know what she does now. I think she's on the weekend. I think she's still a weekend anchor on SportsCenter. Now that I think about it, I haven't watched ESPN in a long time, Chris America. I have some beef with them, but it doesn't have anything to do with them power ranking every SEC team in the top 10. It doesn't have anything to do with that. It's just beef. I don't even want to talk about it. Okay, stop bringing it up, Chris America.
All right, Loudbeard. There's a man. This last pick, it's tough. There's a lot of more old school guys. You got Tim Brando. You got Greg Gumbel. I mean, these are all legendary guys. They're still out there doing their thing at other places. Some of the newer guys, like sometimes Jay Crawford, I like. Sometimes, like he's one of the more tolerable ones recently. Chris Fowler is another guy that I think I could pull the trigger on, but I'm just not feeling it. I'm gonna go with an off the wall pick here, Loudbeard. And we did wrestling last week, and I feel like I got to bring this guy in because I've always loved him. I've loved him in wrestling. I've loved him on SportsCenter. Anything this guy does, he always entertains me, and that, of course, is the coach, Jonathan Coachman.
Oh, that guy is fun.
Yeah.
I like him.
That was my wild
Right,
card. When you said wild card, I thought that's who you were going to pick, and I'm glad you didn't.
No, that was a little bit more wild than I thought. I guess it wasn't so wild card with Linda Cohn. So, Chris America, we always have a couple honorable mentions. So why don't you start us out? Who were some of your honorable mentions in this list?
Well, I mentioned them as I was going through my fifth pick. You know, Chris Fowler, he's still a mainstay on, ESPN. He's on College Game Day. He was on there for a long time. I thought he was a better College Game Day host than he was a SportsCenter host. I mentioned Tim Brando, the 80s guy, like way back in the day. And, yeah, I'm sure there's others that I'm missing. Who else you got?
All right, I had a few others on my list. Bob Lay is on there.
Oh, Bob Lee. Bob Lee.
I said Lay. It's because it's spelled Ley. It looks like it should be Lay, but it's Lee. Bob Lee, he's classic, right?
Still got that Valentine's Day night thing in your head, huh?
Yeah, I like Lays. Neil Everett, Stan Verrett, they're both still active anchors. I think they're a pretty good duo, but some of the other classic ones to me, Trey Wingo, Mike Tirico, Hannah Storm.
I was just looking at
lots
Tirico.
of good names, man.
I mean, there's been a lot of really good, anchors and reporters and stuff to come through SportsCenter. And I don't even know if it's the talent's fault anymore so much as it's the producers and the writers and the production and the direction that ESPN wants SportsCenter to be. It's just awful.
No, to me, the biggest problem is it's become such a corporate monster. ESPN's owned by ABC, and ABC's owned by Disney. So you got this Disney machine that all it's worried about is money, it seems like. And so if ESPN's not turning a profit, what they do is they keep changing, and they fire guys that you like. You hear all of these stories. They're cutting corners. It just became this corporate monster, and it's not fun, and it's not about sports anymore. It's all about ratings. It's about where they can make money. And this is part of my beef is, we talk about the SEC love. Well, they own the SEC network. What are they going to do? They're going to want to hype their network. They're going to want to do their thing. It's just one of those corporate monsters that is really taken itself out of what it means to be a real sports fan, and they just lost touch with the fans, and they lost touch with reality. And I think that's why ESPN's struggling.
Yeah, they put their corporate interests and their investment interest into their sports takes rather than just having your guys give a genuine sports take. Like there are like half of the FPI, the Football Power Index for the SEC or for the college football has SEC teams in it. Half of it, 5 teams. You got Auburn Tigers who were awful last year. They put them in the top 10 last year. What did they do? They laid an egg. Now we're just going to put them back in there again. So you're right, man. It's a lot of that. It's a lot of instead of just giving me highlights and telling me what happened last night and giving me player interviews afterwards, now it's like LeBron James has a cold. We'll break down what that means for the trade deadline next, and we're going to talk about it for the next 30 minutes. That, to me, is what I don't like.
Yeah, it's all agenda-based, man. I hate that. I absolutely hate that.
Just give me highlights, scores, do it in a fun way. Give me a couple of locker room interviews afterwards and move on. I don't need to have your 6 cold hard facts and all this other extra stuff. It's almost like having a juicy burger and then you just put way too much lettuce on top of it and just way too much bread. That's what SportsCenter is like now. It's like a nice burger that has 5 pounds of lettuce and these big buns.
Oh, I hate the really thick buns where it's more bread
Yeah.
than meat. Oh,
Right.
that's the worst.
Yeah.
Now, Chris America, we're almost up against the deadline here. We're ready to finish the show. I do have to mention one thing. The New
What's
York
that?
Knicks get a huge victory last night, and they are no longer in last place in the NBA. They did themselves a disservice by breaking their losing streak, and now the Phoenix Suns, by half a game, are in sole possession of that number 1 spot as the last team in the NBA. Tankville
Going
over
into the
here.
All-Star break, that's not good. And the Suns have a 15-game losing streak. They can challenge that Knicks. What were they at, like 17 or 18?
Yeah, they were like, I know they had hit 17. I think this was their 18th game, so they only finished at 17. So Phoenix Suns, they tell the New York Knicks, hold my beer.
But Ladbeard, do you know who the two teams with the highest winning streaks are right now?
I would say one would be the Magic.
Yep. Orlando
and what would be
Magic
the other?
and the Toronto Raptors. And I'm just going to go ahead and say that these win streaks started when we made the perfect marriage between ourselves and Barn Burner, which is out of Toronto. And it's no coincidence, Ladbeard. It is a match made in heaven. And the Toronto Raptors and the Orlando Magic are on a hot streak, just like Scout Team Radio is on the Barn Burner Network.
Great show, Chris America.
Let's
Always
bring it
a
in the
pleasure.
weekend hot.
Woo! Thank you out there to all those listeners. We love you guys.
Peace.